Yes.
And when somebody hits your car, do you want them like pay for the damage? Can you make them pay for your car if it's really damaged?
Okay, so that's a good question. London said, let's say you have a civil case, and I love the way you knew that. Civil case, somebody hits your car and you want them to pay for your damage, and they say, no, I'm not paying for it. So you have to go get a lawyer, right? She said, could you get enough money to buy a new car as opposed to just fixing what's damaged on your car? That's a great question, okay? So what happens with a trial when you have a jury is the jury can award whatever they think is fair. And the lawyer's job is to argue to them what's fair is for her to have a new car. The other side's going to say, no, 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 no. What's fair is just to pay for the damage that's not buy her a whole new car, just fix what's damaged. Or they may say, you can't prove my client did anything wrong, we shouldn't pay anything. The jury has to decide all of that. But let's say the jury comes back and it's a simple car case and the jury says, we award $10 million. Okay, at that point the judge steps in and says, no, 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 that's not reasonable. That's not a reasonable verdict. So the judge has a check on the jury, okay? Because the law has to be applied fairly. You can't have some kind of crazy thing happening with the jury. But yes, the jury gets to decide. And they get to decide any amount that's reasonable, what's fair. And I do a lot of jury trials. I find the juries in Baton Rouge are very, very reasonable. Everybody that sits in that jury box wants to do a good job. They swear to tell the truth, and every person who is a citizen and a resident of Baton Rouge can be called to be on the jury at any time, because that's our peers, the people that live in Baton Rouge. You don't want somebody in New York City sitting on your jury. You want somebody that lives in Baton Rouge and understands how to do things down here. Okay, yes.
What about Rosa Parks? I thought it wasn't a law break, but she still got arrested for it.
Okay, so Rosa Parks was arrested. At the time that she was arrested, there was a law on the books. There was a state law that said African Americans have to be separate and sit in a separate part of a bus, a hotel, a school, a restaurant, water fountains, any bathrooms. That was a law. So when she sat in the front of the bus, she broke the law. So she was arrested for that. What? Were you going to say something? No.
So was that a criminal case?
So it was a criminal case, correct. So Rosa Parks had to have someone defend her on that case, and what they wanted to do, it was so, when it happened, it was a terrible thing, but the end result was such a good thing for everybody, because Rosa Parks said, no, I'm gonna sit in the front of this bus. It wasn't violent. She didn't hurt anybody, but it was a protest. It was a civil protest, and she said, I'm gonna sit in the front of the bus, and her lawyers said, we're gonna go all the way to Supreme Court and say, this isn't right. It's a violation of her constitutional rights for her to be treated differently. Okay, so yes, Colette.
What if you got in a car accident and they killed you?
Yes, if you get in a car accident and you kill somebody, even if it's an accident, it is a crime. Now, you get to have a defense. You can say, I didn't mean it. So you may not go to jail as long as if you mean to kill somebody.
Does your family decide?
The family does not get to decide. Judge Haber, about that, you want to talk about that? The family of the dead, so she's asking, it's a very good question. If I accidentally hit somebody's car and somebody in that car dies, I am now going to be charged with a crime. It's called negligent homicide. Homicide means murder. Negligent means you didn't mean to. It was an accident, but you still killed somebody, okay? So that case is going to come in front of Judge Haber, and she wants to know if the family of the victim has any say in the sentencing.
They have the right to make a statement to the court. And they generally get up there and they talk about what kind of person the victim was, how it's impacted their life, and how, it's affected everything around them, their job, their life, their family, what happened. The court takes that into consideration when the court fashions a sentence that's appropriate for the facts of the case. Every case is different. You may have the same charge. Two cases, negligent homicide, but one of them is more egregious than the other one, or one's worse than the other one. And so you take all those factors into consideration to formulate a sentence.
That's why it's so important. We vote for our judges. Our judges are elected in district court and appellate court. And it's so important to vote for judges that have good judgment, that know the law, because they have a lot of power to make those kinds of decisions. What were you saying?
I was going to say that you can tell a case if it's civil versus criminal by the way it's named. So if I say something, the state of Louisiana versus Smith, that's a criminal court case because only the government can bring criminal charges against a citizen. People can't bring charges against one another. So if someone dies in a car accident, you might have a civil case, Smith versus Wells, because you had damages that can be repaid with money, but only the government can bring a criminal case. So it's either state of Louisiana versus, which means it would come here to the federal court, the state courthouse. It could be the city of Baton Rouge. It could be the United States of America. But if it's a criminal case, it always starts with the government versus an individual. And civil cases are individual versus individual.
That's a good point, because I can't sue Addie's mother for criminal. I can't say, you know what, you stole my bike, I'm gonna sue you. I can't file, I can go to the police and I can report what happened. But then the police are gonna investigate that and they're neutral, right? You don't want it to be that I have that kind of power, because what if I got mad at you? You know, we want the government to be able to do that. Okay, let me call on some boys. Yes, Sinead.
So like, what if, like, two of the same family members are driving and they get in a car accident?
Right, and like one's hurt and one's not?
Like one like crashed into the other.
Oh, two family members.
Like one died.
Yeah, so if somebody dies because of something you did, the police can bring criminal charges against you. No matter what, even if it was your brother, you didn't mean to, okay? Now, in that situation, that's one of those things like Judge Higginbotham was talking about, where your mama would be coming in and saying, these are my boys, he's devastated, he didn't mean to, this is the saddest thing that's ever happened to our family. The judge is probably gonna go really easy in that, so it depends on the facts, right? It's gonna be different every time. Okay, somebody, yes, you.
What if two cars run into each other,
Uh-huh.
but only one person dies in the other car?
Yeah, I know. There's so many questions about vehicular non-homicide. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, they're good questions. No, it's a great question. So, if anybody dies or anything, criminal charges can be brought. Okay, civil cases have to do with money. Criminal cases have to do with people being hurt and breaking the law. Okay, so yeah.
So say you got in a terrible car accident, but no one, but the car's really damaged and stuff, and let's say you got a broken leg, could you still charge them, or would they still be charged?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Please.
so this is actually what I do, what Judge Higginbotham was talking about, that there's different branches of the state, and like Ms. Wells was saying, that individuals can sue each other for money, but the state brings criminal charges against each other, and that's what you're asking, Parks, are they necessarily charged and taken to trial? It's not, a prosecutor has the discretion and can decide whether or not charges are instituted against someone who, for example, was in a car accident and killed someone, or done anything else criminal. But that's not a foregone conclusion. Not every person is always charged. But if they are, then we end up in front of a judge like Judge Higginbotham.
Well, we have other questions not about car accidents.
Yes, thank you. It's not all the hands go down. Okay. Yes, Lucy.
Why was the Parks arrested right away when she sat with
Right.
your white person?
Right. So that
Why
is
wasn't
what.
she arrested
So,
right away?
right.
When she had to give up.
That's what she's talking about. The prosecutors have a period of time that they can decide whether or not they want to bring charges or not. They do not have to do it immediately. So that can happen at any point. So they waited. They probably thought a lot about what are we going to do, because they knew that there were going to be a lot of people very upset, and they were. People were very upset when Rosa Parks got arrested. And people came and protested that it was wrong to arrest her. Okay, so a lot of people wanted those laws to be changed, and so I'm sure the prosecutor wasn't sure whether they wanted to get involved in that or not. Okay, somebody who hasn't asked a question, Anderson.
What if someone like stole something and then they died? What would happen then?
If somebody just dies, it's not a crime. The only time it's a crime is if somebody tried to hurt them, right? And tried to hurt them and they died, okay? So homicide means murder. That's what the crime, that's what the state doesn't want to have. We want to protect each other from that. Okay, yes.
What if someone, like, murders someone and then they die?
Okay, anybody have a question that's not about dying?
They just want to know what's that.
Go ahead, you answer that.
If the defendant is no longer living, there's no longer a case against them. So if the person who is charged with the crime dies, then the case is over.
And that's for criminal. For criminal cases, it's against an individual that commits a crime. For civil cases, if you kill someone in a car accident, you're hurt and you eventually die, your family can be sued by the other person's family. So civil cases can be brought against your heirs. Criminal cases can only be brought against the individual that committed the crime.
Yes. Okay, somebody add Wagstaff. Stand up, baby, I can't see you. I can't hear you.
What if someone stole from you and then you stole from them?
Oh, yeah, okay, so now you can both call the police and ask for the police to investigate that against both of you. And that happens. That happens. You can both be charged with a crime.
I think
Yes.
the judge wants to speak.
Yes, Judge Nyman.
So like, if someone, like, if this happened with Rosa Parks, if she sat on the bus and the white person who wanted to take her seat killed Rosa Parks, then what would happen?
Okay, I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So if this happened,
Yeah.
if Rosa Parks sat on the bus and she wasn't allowed to, and then the white person killed her for doing so,
Order in the court.
who would do that?
Right, so if she were killed, murdered while she was on the bus, then the state, the government, could bring charges against the person that murdered her. That would be homicide, okay? So, or manslaughter, those are both things.
Any questions about the court process, not individual cases or what ifs? Court process, their roles as attorneys or judges, those kind of questions. If you have one of those types of questions, keep your hands up, because we're almost at a tie.
Okay, Jamie? I can stand up so I can hear you, I'm sorry.
What if they've like done something bad in the past? Would that get spoken in court?
If they did something in the past, would that get exposed in court?
Yes, that's a very good question, okay, and it depends on the case. There are different rules in civil court and in criminal court, but you're right. One of the questions during our trial today, when Ray Merle got on the stand, he was asked how long he had been friends with Jack. Is Jack a nice kid? Do you know him very well? And he said, yes, I play sports with him. That's called a character witness. And so it's very important for the jury to know what kind of guy is this, because the defense wants you to think Jack is nice. He's a great kid. Nice people don't steal stuff, is what they want you to think. And so they're going to put on a lot of witnesses to talk about what kind of person they are. Yes, that's very important. Olivia.
So where Whitney is sitting is where Whitney is sitting. Is that where Judge Judy sits?
Yes. Yes. All judges wear a robe and they sit up high. You see how they're higher up than the rest of us? And they sit by themselves up there and they represent the state as the judicial branch. And so they're up high for a show of respect, a show of authority, for people to take this very seriously. When people come to court, they dress like they do when they go to church. They have to treat this very, and you even have pews, right? Like you do at church, right? This is a serious, very serious thing, and the judges have great respect and great power. And so they're lifted up high to symbolize that.
And that's the state seal right above
Yes.
the judge's head. That's the state seal of the state of Louisiana, and the motto of Louisiana is on the state seal, and it says union, justice, and confidence. Those are the things that you expect as a citizen when you come into court.
And we have the American flag, and we have the state of Louisiana flag, because the judge is under all of those laws. The United States laws and the state laws are all together. Okay, we're gonna do, I think, one more question, and then we're gonna take a group picture. Somebody that hasn't asked a question yet.
How does the jury
How does the jury come to a decision? That's an excellent question. So they call it a deliberation. The jury goes into the room, and they have to stay in that room until they reach a decision. Sometimes that takes an hour. Sometimes that takes 2 weeks. It takes as long as it takes. People have to take off work. And you have to stay and you have to deliberate. And so what they do is they go back and the first thing they do is elect somebody called a foreperson, and that's like their leader. And that's the person that's going to count the votes and lead the discussion. And they have a form with the law telling them what questions to ask in that room, and they take a vote. And once they have 10 votes, sometimes they take a vote and only 5 people have voted. They can't leave until they have 10 votes, guilty or not guilty. And once they get those 10 votes, they turn it into the bailiff, who brings it to the judge. Okay, so we have to take a picture because y'all have to get back to carpool. So